Representative Khanna. So we're going to talk to someone else in just a second. I just wanted to make sure we were lined up here. So good to have you here, Congressman. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts on this move today, the pause for 90 days with most countries that we deal with, and a big tariff on China.
Well, I'm glad that common sense finally prevailed. Look, what happened is Bill Ackman tweeted out that the bond markets were going crazy. I mean, you didn't just have a massive drop in the stock market. You had people freaking out that people were selling treasuries. The bond yields were going up to 4.5%. And people who voted for Trump were basically saying, you're destroying the economy. Stop it. Even Elon Musk was saying that. I mean, Tesla's was getting destroyed. And so economic rationality finally seems to have broken through, but there's still a totally irrational policy of a blanket 10% tariff on every country, including allies. Now, I support tariffs on China. The Select Committee has supported tariffs on China, but not this and not the chaos they've created.
Well, you know, we've heard and seen in the past that Democrats, including Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, have talked about the trade imbalance with China as being a huge negative for America and American workers in this country. And you hear that President Trump saying, look, someone had to do it. And, you know, you can talk about why he made this change today. But if we end up with better trade deals with many of these countries that are more advantageous to us, don't you think that was worth it?
Well, the jury's still out. Right now, we've gotten worse trade deals. I mean, Europe has increased its tariffs on our goods. Canada has increased our tariffs. So if we end up in a situation where the tariffs are better, then I would give the president credit on negotiation. But he didn't have to put the country through this. He didn't have to destroy.
The markets are right back where they were when this announcement was made, or pretty darn close. You know, maybe what you have to do is shake up the chessboard a bit in order to reset these trade arrangements. And it doesn't seem like anything prior to this, by any prior administration, sort of allowed that to happen.
Well, it's unclear that there's anything geared. I haven't heard one country say that we're lowering our tariffs on the United States. And we still have, remember, he's increased tariffs 10% on every country around the world. That means avocados are going to cost more, cars are going to cost more, building is going to cost more in America at a time of inflation. So that global 10% tariff makes no sense. And Bill Ackman would say that, Jamie Dimon would say that, most people, economists would say that. I think when it comes to China, we do need to take a tough approach, and we do need tariffs, and we do need negotiation. But what I don't understand is why a 10% global tariff, and why did he have the markets go down and have the bond market be as disrupted as he did?
Yeah, the bond market seems to be coming back a little bit. It's a good question. You know, the bond markets are wily. And obviously, when you see people selling a lot of bonds, it makes people concerned about that typical safe haven for U.S. and global investors. And I think that, you know, maybe that's what the president was talking about when he said that people were getting a bit queasy and yippy. And that was one of the things that triggered this change. Do you think that was part of the reason for the move today?
Absolutely. I think he read Bill Ackman's tweet. I mean, Bill Ackman basically said this is economic stupidity. Elon Musk said the same thing, economic stupidity. And I'm sure he saw that the bond markets were going up, the yields were going up, the markets were going down. If he hadn't done this, we could have probably been in a huge recession. I'm glad he did this. I'm glad he's listening to...
It's interesting, because I was listening to Jamie Dimon earlier this morning on with Maria Bartiromo, and he essentially said, yeah, this had to happen. He said, I hope we don't have a recession, but we do need to recalibrate these global trade relationships with it, which, as I said, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer have made these points in very forceful ways on the floor of Congress before. So do you not think that we need to reset our trade relationships in a more advantageous way to the United States?
Of course we do, but we don't have to destroy our economy to do it.
Well, you kind of have to put people on their back foot, right, to get these things rolling.
Not in this way. What we should have done is have strategic tariffs on China from the beginning. And if he had just announced that, he would have had bipartisan support from the Congress. Why is he having tariffs on Canada and Japan and Mexico and France and every country? Why is he making consumer prices 10% higher? Why is he coming one day on a policy and then overturning it 3 days later? And now no one knows whether he's going to have tariffs again back on these countries in 90 days. He has created extraordinary economic uncertainty in America, and I fundamentally believe he needs a reset of his economic team.